Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Godzilla, City on the Edge of Battle, which is the second movie of the trilogy that we're actually talking about. So, but before all that, if you want to hear about some just random ramblings talking about different Kit Kats that Rick will hopefully soon be able to try, as well as in general discussions about some other randomness, feel free to join us in our Patreon, patreon.com/featuredanime podcast. $1 a month will get you access to that bonus content and more. And of course, if you want to join us live on twitch.tv/featuredanime podcast, feel free to do so. We stream live Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, all the information and everything else is available to you in the show notes, as well as on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. Before we dive into this week's choice, I'd like to talk about Tokyo Treats. Now, Tokyo Treats is a fun and exclusive Japanese snack box subscription service that features exciting and unique flavors straight from Japan. And each box is also filled with a variety of Japanese snack items like limited edition Kit Kats, specialty flavored chips, and occasionally sodas that are only available in Japan for a limited time. Now, on top of that, you also get a cultural guide book in every single box. Now, what's really cool about this book is not only does it give you information about the culture and whatever's going on in Japan right now during this time of year, there's also information about the snacks that you're going to be eating, which is really great, especially if you have a food allergy and you're trying to avoid certain foods or you have a preferred diet. This booklet has all that information in there for you to make sure you're not eating something you're not supposed to be or something that you don't want to be. Also, every single month, Tokyo Treat has a different theme, usually aligning with the season or holiday in Japan or promoting certain cultural celebrations. And that brings me to what this month's theme is. This month's theme is Very Merry Snackmas, and it is the season for snacking. So this month, Tokyo Treat is bringing a festive cheer with limited edition holiday box packed with sweets and delicious treats straight from Japan, and along with other wonderful winter delights. From unique seasonal flavors to classic holiday favorites, this box captures the magic of Japan during the holidays. So treat yourself or share the joy with a loved one or friends or anything like that with this Very Merry Snackmas. Now, a couple of my favorite treats out of this box personally was the Kit Kat white chocolate crepes, the sour cream and onion waffle chips, the Ghana holiday chocolate truffles, and I also really loved the cozy caramel corn puffs and nuts. Honestly, one of my top favorite treats out of this whole thing. There's all kinds of other treats inside this box, and honestly, all of them are great. You will get this box, you'll finish it off in the same day, and you know what? What's really great is if you are one of our listeners and you use our affiliate link in the show notes, along with coupon code FEATUREDANIME, you get $5 off that very first box. And you know what? You can use that coupon code and buy your friend something. You can buy your other friend something. You can make up a bunch of friends and just get a whole bunch of boxes. Because you know what? Honestly, once you get that box, you're going to eat it right away. And it's not going to last long because you will just eat the whole box like I do in one sitting. So again, special for our listeners, if you use coupon code FEATUREDANIME at checkout along with our affiliate link, you'll save yourself $5. And now on to the meat and brotatoes. Godzilla, City on the Edge of Battle, Came out in May 2018. Producer for it is Toho. Studio for it is Polygon Pictures, just like in the first one. It is an original, just like the first one. Genres for it are action, adventure, and sci-fi. And of course, the duration is 1 hour and 40 minutes long, give or take a few minutes, roughly. Now, the second movie takes place directly after the first movie, so there is no lag in between it or anything like that. However, you do gain a little bit of context if you watch the after credit scene in the first movie. So it sets it up nicely for the second movie where it kind of leads into it at the exact same time. You have Haruo, who's still there, and then you have Mina and Mina, who are also introduced, and then Metaphys as well. So at the end of the first movie, basically everyone is supposedly dead or killed as a result of it. However, that is not the case. You find this out pretty early on in the beginning, and they find out Mechagodzilla actually truly wasn't destroyed. And so they're on their path to try and find him as well as utilize him. And this is kind of explored halfway through the movie. So don't worry, it's not major spoilers. It's kind of known and talked about pretty early on in the movie, as well as about halfway through the movie. However, the expansion on top of it and the technology surrounding it, as well as a more in-depth background story to all the other races, alien races that are there, definitely expand on this. And spoiler warning in this one, they don't kill Godzilla because obviously this is only movie 2 of 3.
It's also Godzilla. You don't kill the main character.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, typically. Yeah, typically. Right. That all being said, yeah, I mean, like, honestly, this honestly, the movie, I enjoyed how it was set up. I thought it was really well done. It was far better than I was actually expecting in more ways than one. And then at the exact same time, I'm also not surprised.
Why? Well, with what specifically?
Well, I'm not surprised, one, that the humans that are there are not really humans. And two,
okay.
I mean, like when you see them, they kind of look a little bit, how can I put this? Mothy?
Mothy? Mothra? Oh, wait a second. So their religion is based on an egg, right?
It's based on Mothra that died and had the egg. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of like the movies, but that's why they have the hair that is very unique and
I didn't notice that.
For the hair that was right in the front. I saw that. I was like, oh, well, obviously they're surrounding Mothra, and then they have like that white powder and everything like that surrounding them or whatever that is. It's like, oh yeah, they're very Moth-esque. Like right at the beginning, it was like Mothra, boom, saw the antenna. It's like, that's Mothra. It's going to be surrounding Mothra. They're going to be part of Mothra. Everything having to do with them is Mothra. The fabric on, or the powder on them all screamed Mothra, like right out the gate for me.
Yeah, I'm happy you said that, because Mothra, king and queen. Mothra, Godzilla, king and queen of the monsters. It makes perfect sense. I was wondering if they were ever going to introduce her. And then, is the egg like a cocoon, do you think?
Yeah, but however, unlike the other movies or anything else having to surround it, Mothra was killed by Godzilla. Like, he killed all the other monsters. He is the dominant one on that planet.
Ah, okay. Well, I didn't quite get that. I mean, it makes sense that he killed everything. I thought the humans were killing everything, and then he showed up and they couldn't touch him. Like that's but that's in number 1. So we're on to number 2 here.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a mixture of the both, right? It's kind of a mixture of the two, for sure. And
it took me a minute to try to. Now, you said that this was, for lack of a better way to put it, they were very moth-like, and that makes a lot of sense. I foolishly assumed when they're like, yeah, they seem to be remnants of a bug species. I was thinking, dumb, I understand this, but I was thinking ladybugs. I was like, oh, okay, so like, the insects rose up and made these things, and they learned and they evolved. They were forced to evolve, and the the nanomaterial that had made Mecha Godzilla kind of sort of did its own thing for a while, broke its limiter, became One Punch Man, and started. Yeah, because they had a built-in limiter that decayed or degenerated over time, so that they wouldn't take organic material and use it as fuel, use it as building material.
That's not how I understood it. The limiter was still there. It used organic material. However, it wouldn't take any living organic material that
True.
wasn't Godzilla.
Correct. Well, okay, I see how you can get around that, because those monsters had Godzilla-esque properties, so that makes sense why they were attacked on sight.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were basically Godzilla themselves,
including
dragons, the ecosystem and the plants and everything else. But in general, though, what you're talking about is, and what they said was, oh, they're dead, and that's why they're being utilized as fuel. And then obviously you have the group and people and individuals that are willing to do it willingly, that willingly sacrifice themselves. Voluntarily. And that's different, right? That is not it forcefully taking it. It's you going, hey, bro, take me, please. And then it goes, you got it. I understand. Yeah.
And it became a really, really intelligent artificial intelligence. I mean, it's kind of redundant to say it that way, but it had a unique, in my mind, albeit probably, oh shoot, what am I trying to say? It's not altered. It's not foreign. It's not correct. Damaged understanding of its. I believe it had a damaged understanding of its objective. And I think that's due to the fact that Godzilla beamed his heat breath, whatever it was, through the head of Mecha Godzilla, destroying half of the nanomites, the nano metals. Because when they found it, the head was there, yes, but it was only half the head.
Yeah,
and it was half the head that
survived, and so the processes were still largely there for it to use and replicate and use the base functions for it. And after 20,000 years, it's grown monumentally, as one would expect.
Now, would you decide, if it was you, would you take a jump back and forth again for 11 light years, another 20,000 years? Imagine what it could have done with the extra time and effort. Or do you think Godzilla would have eventually been like, you know what, wiping that off the face of the earth? Because they had 20,000 years was enough time for moths to evolve into bipedal things.
To be fair, it's not that moths evolved into bipedal people. It's people were influenced by Mothra through the 20,000 years to evolve into that.
See, I took that as something completely different. Like they had a completely different genetic makeup. They weren't human at all. They were humanoid, but completely different species. I took it as they evolved by themselves into humanoid shapes, possibly aided by the nanomaterial.
Not aided by the nanomaterial, and that's plainly stated that they view it as poison. It's influenced and aided by Mothra, which allowed them to evolve when they maintained that humanesque physiology largely, but they evolved to be able to talk telepathically, and then also at the exact same time be able to survive in both the atmosphere where they're up on the basically sea level and then below sea level, which is normal for everyone else. So
I know they said they were poisonous, but I thought that they were referring to like the weapons.
No, they were talking about the nanomachines, because if you also remember when they were actually in there, anyone that was treated by the group that had some of those, they felt really sick. They were off. They weren't doing really well. They were just having a really hard time. And then once they actually left, they started doing really, really well. And it's because the nanomachines were attacking the non-human portions of their physiology, leaving the humanesque portion of the physiology. But once they took those medicines or everything else along those lines, it started altering their physiology to make it so that way, if they were to go there for the nanomachines would see it as a threat, view them as those, at least those portions of it, as something that needs to be destroyed. And so it would start attacking them and it would make them feel sick, basically poisoning them to kill them.
That makes sense. That makes a way more sense than what I was thinking. Okay.
That's my interpretation of it. If someone else has a different interpretation of it, please feel free to let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, but that's from their discussions, because they even state, I think it was Miana that said, careful, it's poison, it's sickening and everything like that. So they're going to kill them, or not kill them, but it's poisonous. And they say that a couple of times, it's poison. Yeah. That's why they didn't want him to touch it either, because when they saw it, they immediately wanted to go and touch it, and they say, no, it's poison right out the gate before they even made it to the city.
See, I just assumed that the weapons themselves they were referring to were poisonous to the beings that they were fighting, which technically they were.
They were.
But yeah, it makes a lot more sense if they're like, no, this is 100% poison. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
It's kind of curious they were able to harvest as much as they did.
Well, you saw the veins of it, like basically kind of, so they probably mined it from a safe distance so that way they could get it and then utilize it for their needs. But it's very carefully handled and not actually directly touched.
So, weird question. Mothra would have been something that the nanobites wouldn't want to interact with, or they would want to kill, right?
Yeah, mostly, yeah. Once they got too far away from the main source, that's when they would start losing their power and the communication. They would become an inert. They would lose that infinite energy supply. And this is stated as well when basically, I think it's Haru's childhood friend, Yuko, when she's out there flying, and they say, if you get too far away, your ship's going to die because it's too far away from the energy source. It'll no longer have access to that energy supply.
I'm like, that's a bit of a flaw, you'd think. But yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that makes sense. I believe they said it was a 5-kilometer limit.
Yeah, it is a flaw, but it is what they talked about. So
it's built in, and it does serve its purpose.
It does.
But I believe it was a 5-kilometer range, and those weapons they made were just cherry perfect, beautiful works of art. That
it's not made.
You don't think so?
They were modified from the weapons that they already had. That's why they're like, we can't create anymore because we don't have any basis material now, which I found really, really dumb, because they were like, hey, we're just going to spontaneously create all this other stuff with no basis for it, and it's just going to spawn into existence with the nanomaterials. It's like, well, why can't you just spontaneously come up with a railgun that can take them out with the flick of a wrist, with a paperclip? I want to make this paperclip, and this railgun's going to blow a hole through them.
Oh, yeah. It's going to go in, and when it comes out, that the back spikes you see, that's all the blood, guts, and gore just spewing out the back end.
Yeah.
Just done.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I thought was kind of interesting, and they were talking about how the only limitation to the Vulture was the pilot. And I was like, I mean, if you use the pilot as a power source, wouldn't it become like super omega awesome? And I mean, that does take a lot of humanity out of it. That just turns it into a killing machine, indiscriminate, which kind of goes against everything about, live another day for victory kind of thing.
Yeah.
You might not win the battle, but walking away is a victory in and of itself.
Indeed. It is indeed. But at the exact same time, I mean, when you're talking about the alien species that are right there, they're like, hey, bro, totally peak evolution. at the exact same time for them. It's like assimilate into this higher life form of mechanical nano machines and everything like that. We totally, from my gathering, they totally destroyed their world by doing this exact same thing. And they're like, hey, bro, this totally makes sense. We should do it again here. This is like,
peak efficiency.
Peak efficiency is like, yeah, you're literally killing your own. You're killing it all again. Wonderful. So
the evil, I mean, to them, it was essentially their god. Technology and becoming more efficient was essentially their religion, which is why they were able to be so fervent and so blindly following and blindly moving forward.
Indeed. Yeah, it was definitely like a I mean, it's like Ganondorf totally cloned himself and is like, hey, bro, instead of the Triforce being my ultimate goal, it's technology and assimilating with it. Yay, team. And by the way, I'm going to clone myself to make everyone look exactly like me.
So, silly question. If they were to have made the Mecha Godzilla work, would they have fused with it?
Oh, probably. Well, here's the thing, right? Like if and you talk and you said like if it continued on for another 20,000 years or whatever after the main Godzilla, after Big Boy woke up and started stomping around the grounds, they noticed that he was basically circling an area trying to find it, right?
Yeah.
So assuming had they left everything as it was, didn't kill baby Godzilla and left it alone in the first movie, left and came back after another 20,000 years, right? At that point, would you go, or at that point, I mean, like you could theoretically state, yes, it's again, probably more than doubled in size because at that point you have to, you have to, yeah. I mean, at a certain point, it would just continue to exponentially grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So at that point, it would have taken over the whole planet at some point, right? Which is the key question or the key argument that they had is like, hey, if we're going to have this thing come here, we actually do assimilate with this 100% after we destroy Godzilla. What is its next goal? Its sole purpose was to destroy Godzilla. If it does that, what is it going to do next? It's going to think logically speaking, right? It's going to think logically. Well, the next step is assimilate all humans and the rest of life on this planet and make it a part of me, which is essentially what it would end up doing anyways. So
yeah, and so
basically turning the planet into a giant spaceship that would then go out there and take over other planets.
That's what I was going to say. You got a self-propagating spaceship that has the planet as fuel, which should be plenty to do whatever they wanted to do. If they could go light years away with minor amounts of technology and minor amounts of fuel, imagine what they could do with a planet of fuel.
Right. So,
I
don't know.
No, and then it becomes, I'm not going to say redundant, but it becomes a little bit odd, specifically because you realize that there's not a lot of them left. Like they're not, they probably procreate. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know a lot. I've only seen like snippets of them in the grand scheme of the movie, but you're also not really seeing every one of their race willing to sacrifice themselves for a greater good. They're all trying to lead.
Are you talking about Ganondorf? Are you talking about Ganondorf?
Yeah, Ganondorf.
No, they're all totally on board for that. They're all like when it comes push to shove.
They all didn't go.
They all didn't. No. Are you talking about going down to the planet? That's why they took the spaceship hostage, was because they're like, bro, we totally need to go down there. We can do this. We should all go down there. And everyone else is like, nah, dude, we don't want to go down there. That's a no. We don't want to go down there. We just need to like take off and get out of here. And Ganondorf says, no, dude, we need to go down there. We all have to go down there. And that's why they took it hostage. It is for a couple of reasons. One, obviously the consequences of what had happened, but two, because they actually, and they stated this too, they were dead set against leaving Earth now that they knew that it was there. Ever since they found out that it was there, they were dead set on No, we are not leaving. We are staying here. We're going to Tech City is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I understand the passion. I understand the desire. Again, it's their religion. And they're very much, oh, we don't believe in religion. We are science-based. We are truth-based. We are this, we are that. You're fanatics is what you are.
Yeah.
Straight up fanatics.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. That being said, though, I don't have
I was just saying,
too much more.
we got a lot more to talk about, but if we did, it'd be going into spoilers.
Exactly, right?
So, like, it's a good movie. It's, again, once you get past the animation, which was my biggest problem in the first one, it's a damn good story. Highly recommend it.
Right. And again, obviously, after credit scene, again, make sure you watch it.
Yes.
So that way you get that little tidbit right there. So
tantalizing for the next movie.
Exactly, right. Spoiler. Next week's choice is movie number 3. So that being said, on a scale of up to 10, sir, how would you rate this?
So I rated the last one an 8. This one, I gotta do, it's gotta be an 8 for me again. Not that it was any worse or any better than the last one, but they maintained really, really well beyond what I was expecting. I was expecting to give this a middling 5 because you don't have a good movie followed by a good movie. You usually have like sometimes, very rare, you'll have a bad movie followed by a great movie in a series, or you'll have a fantastic movie followed by a money grab of a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. But I understand. Exactly.
The way they set this up, it felt like one big movie that they did all at once, and they just pieced it apart and was like, this is act 1, this is act 2. I hope act 3 is going to match, because I'm giving this an 8, just like I did last time. This is a solid 8. I'm hopeful for the next one.
All right. Honestly, I got to go right there as well. I'm going to also give it an 8. Just like the last one, it was a great movie, great story, really kind of followed through a lot of it. I was not happy with kind of the actions of some of the characters. I understand why the actions were there, but at the exact same time, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, I feel like it could have been written better. I feel like it could have been done better in a little bit of a different way.
Something
definitely
kind of counterproductive.
Yeah. And then at the exact same time, again, animation really is not my cup of tea. It's not something I'm a big fan of for this. It's I don't know. It's like it's not not for me. It's not for me. That being said, that's all we got. Again, we're watching movie number 3 for next week. If you feel like we did this too much justice, not enough justice or anything like that, feel free to let us know. Feel free to reach out to us. All our contact information and everything else is available in our show notes. You can also email us at info@featuredanimepodcast.com. And of course, all our information is also available on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.